What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. My name is Kevin, and you're watching the weekly Quest with a Guest podcast hosted by me, Kevin, and my co-host, Zach Stone. Every week, we meet with a new Illumineer to tell their story and talk about the game of Lorcana for a little bit. This week, our guest is none other than Dean Kong Pham, Lorcana Goons team member all the way from Germany, who ended up in top 16 of the DLC in Texas. Fort Worth has a lot of credentials in trading card games in general, and is going to help us go through the new Shimmering Skies set and pick and choose which cards you should be looking out for as the new set drops on August 9th. So stay tuned to Lorcana Goons for more. What is up, my Lorcana Goons? Welcome back to Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Quest with a Guest podcast. I am the host, Kevin, with our co-host, Zach Stone, and our guest this week is Dean Kong Pham, member Lorcana Goons team, all the way from Germany, joining us. DK, how you doing, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm glad to be here finally because I always wanted to be once on the Quest with the Guest. And yeah, I'm from Germany, as you said, and my previous TCG was Yu-Gi-Oh! And maybe you guys already heard of me, or maybe read my tweets. I switched over to Lorcana like 1.5 months ago because I didn't enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! That much anymore, and I searched for something new, and Lorcana was just probably the best game that you can play if you are like searching for something else, because it just looks fun, looks easy to learn, and yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, the game is definitely fun. The game is definitely easy to pick up from what I've been told from people that I've shown the game to as well. If you didn't know, DK has a lot of experience in Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing as a competitive player. Some would even say like a pro player. And for Lorcana, you've already achieved your invite to the North American national qualifier. You know, we were both in top cut at the DLC in Texas, which is really cool. But so in general though, like, well, why TCGs for you? You know, like what is it about trading card games that gets you going?
Like as a kid, I always wanted to play TCGs, like let's say when I was like 12, 14. But as you can guess, I'm Asian and with like immigrant parents. Most of the time, they don't have so much money, so they couldn't really afford to buy me like the newest stuff, like all the cards and so on. I just bought like a structure deck from different games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like Pokemon and so on, and just played with my friends. But we never really played like competitively. But I always enjoyed holding like physical cards, playing against each other with your own ideas and so on. Of course, I had like just a small amount of cards, so I couldn't really cook much. And when I start to make money with like 18 and so on, or a bit earlier, I started playing Magic for a bit. I just went into the locals in Oldenburg. It's next to Bremen, if you guys know. And I just started a bit of playing Magic, but I didn't like the concept of lands so much, so I quit it really fast. But then right next to the Magic locals, there was Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals. And I just watched them play, and I was like, oh, cool, no lands. And you can just play your cards. And also, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Before, right? So I just, because I knew the concept about buying cards and selling cards already from Magic, I just straight up asked, like, hey, give me a meta deck. Just give me a meta deck, any kind. And I bought, it's called Shadow, if you guys know. It's like the graveyard effects and so on, and also have many flip effects at that time. And yeah, I bought it. 1 week after I bought it, the ban list immediately killed it. It doesn't hit it. It banned Construct. That was the main boss monster of the deck. And it obliterated the deck. And I couldn't play it anymore. Then I was like, damn, what do I play now? And then I just started back from zero, clawed my way back up, started with like rogue decks, like really cheap rogue decks, like $20 or so. And just kept going, and then suddenly all the people in the locals wanted to go to majors, and then it started from there on. And I just realized, oh, I love traveling for events. I love traveling for just meeting new people or meeting old friends. And then it just went on, and suddenly I had friends over in the entire Europe, right? And when I also started traveling to America, I had like friends over in America, I have friends in Mexico and so on. It's like insane. So right now in the end, I made like connections like almost everywhere in the world besides maybe like Asia. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I hope the journey in Lorcana will also be like this much fun. And up till now, it is so much more fun than Yu-Gi-Oh! Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I've heard that story about I made a deck, I spent this much money on a deck, and then I got hit by the ban list way too many times in that game, and that's a pretty it's a pretty a not good feeling in my opinion. But yeah, man, I like that you compared. I like that you made the switch. Yu-Gi-Oh is an awesome game. I think TCGs in general have always been same thing. It's always I've always tried to make it a part of my life. When I was a kid, I'd beg my immigrant parents for starter decks, and they'd always be like, "No, why the heck would I spend money on cardboard, right?" And then like same thing, like
Yeah,
as we grow up, we start to be able to afford things that we couldn't buy as kids. And now that we got that big kid money, like we can actually buy like high rarity decks and stuff, and
exactly.
play the meta decks. It's a passion, to me, it's a passion. I'm sure to you, it's clearly a passion. Zach as well. I'm sure you could agree. A lot of us have like, well, I mean, now I actually can say that I have some type of like accolades in competitive gameplay. What was like your first like experience playing a competitive like Yu-Gi-Oh event, and how did you make that transition? Because I know you said you obviously saw Shed Dolls as a meta deck, and you're just like, let me jump right into that. But like, how was it playing like a bigger Yu-Gi-Oh event starting off?
Yeah, so I think it started like for everybody. So when a new event gets announced, like you're in your local WhatsApp group or Discord group, whatever you are using, and everybody's like hype, yo, we have a new event, let's organize something. And so the first thing you have to do is like just join in, like join in the action. um, of course, make friends in your local groups and so on, so you can travel together. And the most important thing for me is I could have fun with my friends and locals, because there are also always some people you maybe don't like, or like just doesn't work out. And that's the most important thing, that the you know what I
Uh,
mean, like you need to like them. It must work between each other.
yeah, you need to vibe with them, for lack of a better term. Like,
Yeah, you need
yeah,
to wipe it then. Yeah, that's the important thing. Exactly. It's not only, yo, I travel them, just take the same hotel or same room and not talking. It's like you need to have fun with them. Then the entire experience of the travel and the event itself will be so much better if you can laugh together and test together and enjoy it. Besides only being like a business, yeah, just travel together. And that's like the most important thing. And after that, of course, you need to try to get yourself and maybe your group to the next level of competitiveness, because sometimes the groups you're traveling with only want to play for fun. And if you have like high ambitions, you might need like a better group, of course, or like you motivate them to get better. That's also a really important part. And else, I just started out, let's say, as a really bad player. I think the first three events I only reached day two. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you have day one and day two. For Swiss, it's like 11 to 12 rounds, so you need like 2 days. You cannot play 11 or 12 rounds in one day. So I always reach day two, but never top, like for 3, 4 events or so. And then after a while, of course, I started topping, and after my first top, the next top came, next top came, next top came. Um, I just got better like over time. But um, even if you don't top, I think you can still take so much away from an event just by like having fun, or just take the experience. As long as you learn from your losses, I think you can. It's always worth it to go to the events.
Yeah, I'm the same way, because a lot of the times when I find myself like contemplating if I even go to an event, right? Like, are my friends gonna be there? Because that's like a huge thing. Traveling alone isn't the best, and you can even save a lot of money just getting like a place together. So like, Dinka, I know that we all room together. Like, how is that experience? How is your Dallas Fort Worth experience?
yeah. How was your
No.
American experience with the Lorcana Goons?
Okay, I can tell you one thing. So before Lorcana, I traveled for Yu-Gi-Oh already, right? And I always travel with one friend. One time I even traveled alone, and it was bad. It was really bad because if you travel alone, even if you have like friends to meet up with, most, like not most, but many hours you will be just alone in your hotel room, and that's so bad. Like always get some friends. And I cannot thank you enough, Zach, because you saved you saved me, because otherwise I would be alone. Like not only at the hotel, also at the event, because I literally know nobody at the Lorcana event. So you literally saved me, and it was so much fun. Just staying with you guys, laughing all the time, making jokes, testing. We also test a lot, and that was really good. Like we shared our theories. I could convince like Steadfast to play Dick. Yeah, and it was really fun. It was really fun, and definitely my best tournament experience so far.
Nice, man. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, I do think the Lorcana game is just a little bit different in terms of like the community. I know it sounds really corny, and I know there's a lot of like there's constant talk about like, oh, don't bring toxicity from other games to this game. But I think in general it's just about just don't bring toxicity to the table. Whether you're playing for a golden Mickey, I'm pretty sure when you were playing your top cup matches, you also felt that too, right? Because I know when I was playing for height stakes, like opponents aren't up there trying to disrespect you. Like I didn't have any like salty experiences that weekend for the most part. Like yeah, it'll come like losing is hard, and you'll meet those opponents that might make you feel a type of way for winning or losing. But in general, I feel like the community is a lot different. I think there is this expectation of sportsmanship that Lorcana holds right now that's very different from other games, which is what I personally like about it. At least right now in the earliness of it.
Yeah, like for now, I think it's everything you said is correct. Like for example, when I played the top cut, when I play a top cut in Yu-Gi-Oh, like you move something wrong, like just slightly, and they will like either try to shark you if they're super try hard, or they will call the judge. So
they'll be like, Judge, she accidentally.
yeah, so you get the warning. So how it works is like you can collect warnings for the same stuff, and like with 2 warnings for the same stuff, you literally just get a game loss, which is of course fair. But your opponent tries to enforce it by just calling the judge excessive amounts of time, and this is really bad. And it's also really stressful. It can stress out people that are vulnerable to that. When you go like, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that, or like when your opponent's interfering with you. But I didn't feel that when I played in the top cut, even when I played against Ed. This was like, it felt like we are playing a set champ. It was like I'm playing in the top 8 for the Ursula, nothing more. Like I felt zero pressure, zero stress. It was really cool. Like
Yeah, man.
I
Like
didn't expect that
Yeah.
for playing for a 15K card.
No, yeah, I agree, man. I agree. It's something different about it. Like it's something different about not having to worry about your opponent across the table. Like either like you said, disrupting you, trying to throw you off, or even just doing some sly stuff. You know what I mean? So I really do appreciate that about the game, and it is true what you said, man. In other games, if you spend too much time looking at your discard pile, they'll call a judge, and then sometimes the judge just won't like you, and they'll or they don't even know what's going on, and you lose to the judge. You know what I mean? And it's just and I want to bring up your post that you made on Twitter about the rulings of Yu-Gi-Oh. I hate to keep talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, but you made a post on Twitter just the other day. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, talking about like how convoluted the rulings are, and then like some rulings in that game don't even like add up to the actual rules of the game, but it's just ruled that way because the company says so. It's actually hilarious, you know what I mean? And it's one of those things where you said you would not recommend that game to new players. Like, would you recommend Lorcana to new players?
Yes, I would. Like so just again about Yu-Gi-Oh, if you compare to Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just if you have like connection to Yu-Gi-Oh, like I don't know, you like the anime, you watch it as a kid, you want to play it out of nostalgia, I would recommend it. Like let them try it. But if someone just wants to play a TCG in general, and maybe even switch up, going to the competitive level, I would always like recommend something like One Piece or Lorcana. And in this case, Lorcana, especially because Lorcana is, as we said in the beginning, right? It is easy to learn. It's also easy to go a step higher and higher. The steps up are so easy. Like of course, the highest level is still difficult, a bit more difficult than the low cap, but to get there is so much easier, and it's also achievable in a reasonable amount of time. Because if you want to do that in Yu-Gi-Oh, you need like hundreds of hours in testing, in deck building, and so on. Like you don't even know how many thousands of hours I have in Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's like insane. You need such a big amount of testing, and also not only that, if there's a new format, new set, you need to do everything again. You don't need as much time as someone who starts again. But let's say if I wanna do be like a top guy in this format, because we had a new set recently, I need to put in like 30 hours again, and then testing every single combo and so on. That's quite much, to be honest. In Lorcana, new set 5 comes out, I probably need like 10 hours testing a few decks. If I find a good deck, I don't even need to test that much, because the game sometimes plays itself. But of course, I just need to learn about the matchups, like how do I mulligan against each matchup, and to find that out, it's so much easier.
Yeah, no, this game is it's totally like favorable to the people that actually have the TCG experience. 100% agree. But it's also true that anybody can just take it to the next step and get to that level of competitive play. So Dinka, you played the Ruby Sapphire deck. What made you decide that was the deck? Because you have a month and a half in the game as of right now, and when you were getting into the game, from I remember, you were trying out Emerald Steel, you didn't like it. So just tell everybody why you chose Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, so in general, when I play games with resources like Hearthstone, Magic, Lorcana, and so on, even like Runeterra, if you know that game, I always like control decks, or at least decks where you have like choices, or like you have cards. For example, in Sapphire, you have many cards that let you choose a card, right? Tala, develop your brain, how far you go, I go, and that you can just choose. You have a decision, and I like that more, because it's a laid-back gameplay, I guess. And then it's where my opponent can do stuff, and I just react accordingly and win by that. Because the game, how I like to play it, is more control heavy most of the time. And decks like Emerald Steel, the problem there is, of course, not all hands, but many hands are like just play 1, 2, 3, and if your opponent has the perfect hand to out it, like you cannot stop it. Like you're just either winning or losing at that point. And I don't like that. And when I play tested Green Steel, of course, not all games are like that, but mid-range decks and so on, or like aggro decks are like, for me at least, it's just 1, 2, 3. If you have the curve, fine. If you don't, I don't know. So that's why also Red Purple is also a deck that I liked a lot. It was also a choice. So when I started out, it was Ruby Sapphire. Ruby Sapphire was recommended from like multiple people because of Chicago. It was supposedly the best deck, right? Because it counters Green Steel really well, and it was just at the top. But suddenly, Ruby Amethyst took the crown of Ruby Sapphire, and it fell off. But I still like the gameplay. Ruby Amethyst was a deck that was my second choice, because when I started, I bought blue, red, and purple immediately because purple was cheap. But I didn't play it because everybody told me, don't play it, you get clapped by Green Steel. But when I tested more and more, I also realized it's not true. Your win rate is not great, but it is also not true that you have like an auto lose. Most of the time, you can force even like a 1-1 at least. And if your opponent is not playing that well, or like not mulligan that well, you can even go for a 2-0. Or maybe if you tech against it for like Teeth or the big Sisu like Ed,
Teeth.
you can definitely get a 2-0 out of it. So, but because everybody told me, hey, do this and do that, I just kept with like Ruby Sapphire. I didn't go for Ruby Amethyst. And that's also something you have to be careful about when you start out and listen to everybody. It helps at the beginning to have a direction so you can start. But at some point you have to like test for yourself, think for yourself, and just develop your own theories.
Make your own decisions.
Exactly, because if you ask like, let's say 10 people about the same deck, I can tell you like 6 will have this opinion and 4 will have another opinion about certain cards. And like for example, I don't like Sisu. If you ask me, Big Sisu, I don't like it. And then you ask other people like Sailor, he likes it, he loves Big Sisu. It's just like it changed a lot. And it's the same for like Red Purple, right? Some people like Beaking Undisputed. Some people like Ed say, no, Beaking Undisputed without Red Blue in the meta is not worth it. You don't need it against green steel, you don't need it against blue steel, and so on. So you will hear a lot of different opinions in that matter. And yeah, the reason why I'm sticking right now with Ruby Sapphire mostly is that I like the gameplay a lot. Every time I try to switch right now, like I'm testing for DLC Bologna this weekend, and every time I switch, I kind of get bored, to be honest. Like Red Purple is okay because you draw a lot, so it's fun. But if I play like Green Steel, I play like even what's the other deck? A Steel Song. It's kind of boring for me, at least.
No, I feel it. I know. I feel it. I feel it. So it does boil down to you wanting to have fun and you want to play the deck you want to play.
Can I cut? Can we cut? Sorry. My girlfriend sounds good.
But yeah, I really like what you said right there, DK, talking about how a lot of people were like, "Oh, you can't play this deck because it auto loses to this deck." And personally, I hate that sentiment in Lorcana. I've said it plenty of times. I'll say it many times. This game is a lot more nuanced than people give it credit for. I don't think you have like auto lose bad matchups. Like I hate when people are like, "Oh, you can't play red purple because you auto lose to green steel." Like, no, dude. If you're auto losing the green steel, I'm sorry, you're probably just playing it wrong. If you're always getting 2-0'd. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's true. Like, you saw Edmund just have an entirely different strategy, and he was actually prepared for the green steel matchups. Same thing. I felt like I was more than prepared for green steel matchups, and I 2-0'd my green steel in Swiss. It's just in Top Cut, I wasn't necessarily, that prepared as I thought I was. And it's a learning process. But the point is, though, I will never chalk this game up or most games up to like a dice roll. I don't think that's true. I think that's an excuse. You know what I mean? I think for the most part, like you can really pick almost any deck, almost any color combination in Lorcana and do very well at an event. Win an Ursula, etc., etc. So I really like that you said that. I like that you stuck with your gut. You can't let people sway you from not picking the deck you want to play just because the supposed meta is against it, right? But speaking of like the meta and the set 5 cards you're talking about, I do want to go over some set 5 cards on this segment now, if that's cool with you guys. We have some. All right, cool. So we have all the cards from set 5 here. We don't have to stop through each one, but we'll go through each color, and when we see a card that we like, we'll stop and talk about it for a little bit. Obviously, the first one I see on this page is Prince Naveen. This is the legendary that's coming out. This is going to be a 4-cost uninkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 2 also. It has an ability that says Singer 6. When you play this when you play this character, you may play a song with cost 6 or less for free from your hand. This card's obviously good, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, this card is really good. The only problem right now is that in Steel Song you have so many uninkables. I guess you can find room for that, especially when decks fall off, like let's say Green Steel. At least the Bucky just fell off. Maybe you can cut some of the tech cards for that matchup and then fit this one in, because this one in general is really strong. I don't know why they give him 2 lore for no reason.
Right? This guy quests for 2.
It's like a Singer 6 and plays a 6 song for free, cost 6 or less for free. It can be like insane, but as I said, because of the uninkable, it might end up being like not a 4 off. But right now, I think everybody, if they play a song heavy deck, they will try it as a 4 off, right?
I think so. I'm a big fan of this card, honestly. I feel like this card's going to really swing a lot of Amber related decks in favor. I feel like combinations like Amber Emerald, Amber Steel, and you might even see like Amber Sapphire start to gain tractions, because there's still cards like Let It Go, which is the removal for the color, and you also have Friend Like Me can ramp you up very, very ahead. And I'm honestly excited because I feel like I'm gonna play Amber Steel again because of this card, and I'm
card's
just
insane.
I'm a huge fan. So
No, yeah, it makes sense. Like, imagine you play Ariel on turn 3 and they brawl Ariel. Now on turn 4, you can just play Prince Naveen and play Whole New World anyways. Like, it's such a good curve, and like you just said, the quest for 2. Yeah, so Amber Steel for sure, probably gonna see some more play. Zach, I have an Amber Steel list here somewhere, real quick. How would you play this? Here we go. How would you play as an Amber Steel? Where would you fit it in? What are you thinking? Because here's Prince Naveen. You want to play 4 of them? You think?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably play 3 for right now, and just kind of, I mean, you can put 4 in a deck and just go from there, but I'll start with 3 for right now, just so I can kind of build around it and try to see like the curve, right? Because 4 cost is For what it does, it's definitely something you want to play on 4 and play your 5 cost songs for free.
Yeah.
So I think we're always going to play the 4 Ariel singers, the 4 Ursula, Vanessas, and we probably still want to play like the Robin Hood package because that's still very, very strong into a lot of early game, and it could just give you like an aggressive strategy. Um, Bare Necessities and let the Storm Rage on, the Strength of Raging Fire, couple copies of Zeus, and of course your 4 Whole New Worlds. Depending on the meta, you'll play 1 to 2 copies of Grab Your Sword. Um, and to probably like round it off, I feel like Rapunzel definitely still has to go in there, damaging your own characters.
Do you still
Um,
play? Do you
I
still
know.
play the Baloo and the Lawrence?
I'm considering the Lawrence. The Baloo, however, is just something I'm very not interested in playing anymore because of the uninkable count.
Hmm.
We're adding Prince Naveen, so it's something that I'm very cautious of. You brick in this deck, it's so bad. So you're just getting your ink is important. You might even be able to get away with playing the Piglet still and the Smeeze. And I still am impartial about the Queen shift. I like the harp version, so I would probably find a way to play the harps too.
Okay.
Um, and depending on the meta, Gaston Singer 5 could see his way in, especially if cards like Brawl are still very impactful. I can just imagine playing like a board of singers, Prince Naveen playing Whole New World for free, drawing a bunch of more songs, playing them with your Ursula, playing them with your Ballroom Cindy, and singing another Whole New World. That's just so gas.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's a lot. It's a crazy curve, dude. Like I feel like it's gonna make the deck a lot more. You're gonna have to respect it a lot more. You're definitely gonna have to respect it a lot more. But all right, let's see. Are
Yeah.
there any other amber cards you see here that are worth mentioning? We have
Um,
Not right now.
no,
where's Alanadale? Where's that
oh yeah,
rooster?
The Allendale's coming up. We got some more. Fix It Felix, the Gazelle, Kristoff, Mirabelle. Oh, the Daisy
All
Duck.
right, I want to talk about
Oh, the Days
Kristoff.
Duck.
I do
Kristoff.
want to talk
Okay.
about Kristoff.
Okay, Kristoff.
Um, I think he's a little underrated. He is bodyguard, and you can get a lot of songs in your discard pile pretty early. And protecting your singers is just insane. This is also just a 9 cost character, so he can just sing any song, pretty much. I think this card has potential, but it's
Mhm.
uninkable, so
Yeah, it's
hard to say.
another
Hard to
unexplored
say.
in this deck, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say it makes room. But depending on the format, depending on the meta that we're in, it could see play. Daisy Duck for sure is something we can talk about too.
I real quick, I do agree that Kristoff could see play. Each song in your discard, play a character that quests for 3. Like that's very reasonable. You can play with one of an Amber Steel song. I wouldn't doubt it. But dude, this Daisy Duck, yes, we need to talk about this Daisy Duck because this card is borderline problematic in my opinion. What do you guys think?
So I'm new to this game, right? So I don't have the experience of set 1, 2, 3, and also not the beginning of set 4 when everybody also have the reveal and have to cook, right? But when I saw this guy, I was like, oh. One cost, 1/4, quest for 2. The effect is, I mean, doesn't really matter if you cannot counter Daisy Duck. Like she will quest, I think she will always quest for like 4 at least. Um, Sometimes for 6, of course, or even more if unanswered. And if you play like characters that has bodyguard next to it, like how do you want to remove her? So she will be a problem, definitely. And I don't want to face that deck, to be honest.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna be able to play red blue next format when we have Daisy Duck running around. So this card is a 1 cost uninkable, 1 strength, 4 willpower. When this
Mhm.
character quests, each opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it's a character card, they may put it into their hand. Otherwise, they put it to the bottom of their deck. So that this ability, like you read it right, and it sounds like, oh well, why would I want to give my opponent a free card every turn? Well, what ends up happening is you quest with it, your opponent reveals a brawl, they reveal friends on the other side, they reveal be prepared, and then it goes to the bottom of the deck. That is one more removal card that you don't have to worry about them top decking. It's actually
Mhm.
crazy, dude. This card is yeah, this card is gonna make hyper aggro decks just very, very real. We're gonna have to start playing a bunch of wacky techs to stop Daisy Duck, I think. Zach, give me your opinion. What decks do you play this in?
You could even fit it in Amber Steel, just more of an aggressive build. I will say something that I've been putting in some homebrews right now. That 2-drop Argus. Just to counter that card, if you're able to just stop it from questing, like for like if it only gets 2 or 4 lore, that's okay.
Sorry, no, this card's insane. I think Daisy Duck is extremely problematic. I think it's gonna make hyper aggro decks extremely real. Zach, you just mentioned how you can put it in Amber Emerald. You could probably put it in Amber Steel as well with harps. There's a variety of ways to play this. And then like yeah, man, again, DK. I don't know how you're gonna play Ruby Sapphire next format. Are you gonna keep playing Ruby Sapphire next format with this card running around?
I don't know yet. Like blue, of course, we saw it already. Got a bunch of support, also a bunch of ramp. So maybe I will continue playing it. So like in my head, I haven't built something yet, but in my head, I can imagine myself like having a super consistent ramp deck, which can pull out the 4 and 5 drops with big bodies, or even like the Mufasa or Tamator early, as in turn 5, I think. Was it? You can already throw down your bombs, and then your opponent has to respond to it. So I don't know. Maybe it works, maybe don't. I have to test more of the Daisy, because that one's really scary. Because if they have like Daisy Duck into all the other small weenies with 2 quests bodies, turn 5 is a bit too late.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly like you said. They could do a Daisy, Piglet, then Bodyguards, they start using Daisy, they quest, and then you start revealing the brawls from the top of your deck, and they go to the bottom of the deck, and you're going to be a not happy Ruby Sapphire player. But I've been seeing people,
Yeah,
I
or the
mean,
dimes or
or,
whatever. Like,
oh no, or the dimes too.
uh,
Yeah, that's your
Or
win.
that one
this card
jump,
is
or that one jump you really
oh.
need.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Yeah, this card is going to be so problematic. People are going to be so tilted. Gastons, I've been seeing a lot of Ruby, Amethyst, Ruby players say they're going to start playing Gaston again just to out this card. And it's just so
Yeah.
much. And then that's why I'm going to play this card with Sapphire so that I can play Cogsworth and give Daisy Duck resist. And then people are going to be really mad at me. What about this Minnie Mouse, bro? This Minnie Mouse looks like it has potential. It's a shift 4, 5 inkable, 5 cost character, 4 strength, 4 willpower. Quest for 2. When you play this character, if you used shift, play her, you may search your deck for a character card, reveal it to all the players, shuffle your deck, then put it on the top.
My first thoughts are that this card is like not what do you play it in, but like how do you reap the most rewards off this card? Like you do need to have like another Minnie Mouse to shift on top of. I don't think we're gonna be playing Morph and Amber Emerald in the deck with like this with that card. So I'm very curious to see like what decks actually like utilize this and get the most out of effects like the Minnie Mouse or that new Merlin, for example.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
guess you could do
I,
like a whole like Amethyst package where you do the Bruno, look at the top card of your deck type beat, but it's not really the same, right? Like it's one time you get to do that for the shift. It's a little too slow. When I first read it, I thought it went straight to your hand like the Merlin, but now that I see it goes to the top of your deck, like how good can that really be? It's good. Like you don't add the card now, you add it a turn later. I don't know. Not my favorite card, but there's some potential there, right? You think? Oh, look, here's the card you're talking about, Alan Adale. This card's crazy. 4 cost, inkable, amber character, 2 strength, 3 willpower. Whenever you play a song, gain 1 lore. Any quest for 2. Why did they make this card? This is just gonna
It's
making
another insane card for any Amber song deck. The good thing is they gave it reasonable stats. That's the only good thing about
yeah.
it.
Okay.
At least for us, for people who tries to counter that. But 2 lore is also again like I don't know why they gave this card 2 lore. The gaining lore aspect is of course really insane. Of course, because of the 2/3 body, you can deal with that with like brawls and other removals. So we still have to see if it's like actually worth it to play, because you are still using 4 ink to play it out, and if your opponent can counter it immediately, Depends on how the meta shapes up, right? Because let's say if you Ruby falls off, this card is so much stronger, right? No brawl in the meta, then so much stronger because let's say if the meta is dominated by like Amber's decks and so on, removing this card is a bit more difficult. But of course, there are cards in Emerald, I think, too, right? That can bounce it. Can still be a huge tempo loss for you.
True.
If people are playing the cards that can bounce it.
Yeah, that's true. If they play this on turn 4 and I play a Cloud Kicker and it bounces back, you're gonna be hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also Prince Naveen is a 4 cost, so it's hard to really like fit it with the curve. That's why this card might not see as much play. Like I think they announced this card first, and I was very like hyped about it. I was like, oh, this card's gonna be a problem. Then I saw Prince Naveen, and I'm like, oh, we can make other cards problems now. This is a good card, but maybe not in like Amber's like maybe Amber Emerald actually can get a lot of value out of it. Yeah, you can get a lot of value out of it. Like there's potential for this card. Don't get me wrong. Stats are also something that's easily answered. So like it's a card that just when you play, you rarely exert it unless you're in that racing game and you need to get that 2 lore. But it's a very solid card. Any effects that allow you to gain lore outside of like questing, I think are very powerful.
Yeah, definitely something to consider. Probably not a card you play on turn 4 curve, just like you were talking about. I like real quick. I like this Vanellope Von Schweetz. I think it's cool. It's something to make note of. It's a shift 2 character that costs 4. So if there's any 4-cost songs you just wanna play or sing, like Ruby Amber, Beat King or something, this is a very good shift target. Whenever you play another princess character, all opposing characters get minus strength until the -1 strength till the start of your next turn. Sounds like kind of an aggro style deck. Can also be used with cards like Muses or like the Emerald package to bounce certain characters back, so that's kind of cool. We also have this. Oh, this Sven is kind of good. 4-cost Inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower. Whenever you play this character, you may ready chosen character. They can't quest or challenge until for the rest of this turn. So I think this is cool in aggro decks. You guys know me. I've been playing a Sapphire Amber aggro deck lately, and this is kind of cool. I can quest with Lilo. I can play Sven, ready my Lilo, and now you can't challenge Lilo. Basically, that's the theory.
Yeah, it seems fine. Like it's inkable, 2 lower body. It's cards like these are always like at least playable. Like you don't have a risk of playing this kind of cards because you can always ink it. And same applies to like Ellen. You can if it doesn't fit right now in the curve, you don't have to play it. You can also ink it or like play it later on. That's why I like I don't know if I like it because I don't really want to play Ember, but they're really strong if they're inkable and have the flexibility of I can play it later on too.
Some other cool cards in Amber. Revive.
Ooh, Revive.
Is this going to be relevant? How do you make? I've been thinking, how do you make this good? Because you can only play a 5-cost character or less from your discard for free, right? So like, what's the biggest difference from playing like 4 Mufasa and like 2 Mufasa, 2 Revive?
The fact that it's an action makes it a bit weird, to be honest.
Right. Like I feel like it's not something that you're really going to be doing. There are a couple cards in the game that say like play an action for 2 cost less this turn, or play an action for free even. But again, like it's either the fact that it's a 5-cost uninkable, the fact that it's an action, or the fact that it's 5 cost or less only from your discard. I don't really see like what type of wacky like good plays you can do when we already have cards like Just in Time, which is just says play a 5-cost from your hand. You know what I mean? Like early. I don't know. And if I'm gonna be doing some wacky plays like discard a 5-cost, revive the 5-cost, like wouldn't I just rather play Just in Time to just summon it from my hand? In the future though, definitely might have some potential, right?
This effect is really good in other card games, so I don't know how I feel about it in this game.
Yeah, it could have said either player's discard.
It kind of feels like Dragonfire for me. Like Dragonfire itself is a strong card, like just remove anything, right? A 5-cost remove anything, but it's uninkable. Also action, you cannot sing it with anything. This also feels like kind of bad.
Speaking of like cards that I think have good potential, Pride Lands. I like this card. Pride Lands Jungle Oasis is the new Pride Lands. It's a what is it? It's a 3-cost location, 2 cost to move, and 8 willpower, and you get 1 lore every turn. And it says while you have 3 or more characters here, you can banish this location to play a character from your discard for free. So this I think has some type of like creative like utility, you know, because there's no like stipulation about the cost of the character you can bring back from your discard. So like in an emerald amber aggro deck, you can use like strike a good match, you can discard Chernobog or something, and then like somehow bring out Chernobog from your discard pile for free with this card. I don't think it's gonna happen this format, but when I read this, I was like, there's no way this is not broken.
Well, I like to bring up a card from the other set from last set, Tuk Tuk. Being able to move himself and another character
Yep.
there. That's 2 characters, right?
Yeah, that's already 2
I
characters, and that's on curve because I think
yeah
Tuk Tuk is a 3 cost or a 4 cost. Yeah.
yeah. So being able to play like any character from your discard for free has a lot of potential for sure. If you're ever up against the discard matchups and you discarded like your Dragonfires, your Medusas, those are all cards you can replay for free. Um, I I think Amber Ruby again. Amber is the color of the new set, by the way, in my honest opinion. You're going to see a lot of Amber creations and a lot of Amber brews being played because those cards are just really powerful. Not to say other cards aren't, but they gave Amber the most for sure.
Any Amethyst cards that are catching your attention right now? I like this 1-drop Cogsworth. It's a 1/1/1. When you play this character, chosen character gains a rush. So this will technically have rush too if you want to. I think I don't know. I want to fit this in some decks. It sounds like a good card, right? I'm not tripping.
Yeah, it's an inkable 1-drop. It sounds good. Like the effect itself is good.
Just does what it
It
needs
has
to
a big
do.
potential.
Yeah, just does what it
You
needs to
can
do.
play
Right?
you can play it and Maui to kill a castle. So I'm sold.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That Maui Nuclear Castle. That's cool. I like Bruni. A lot of people have been talking about Bruni. It's a 4-cost inkable character, 2 strength, 2 willpower. Has evasive, quest for 2, and says when this character is banished, you may draw a card. So more floaters. It's a little slow though. This
It is
card,
slow.
yeah, it's really slow. This card was announced, and I was like, oh, cool, you can play this after like Diablo's turn or something. But like, man, if you play this after Diablo, they're gonna storm you, and then they're gonna draw an extra. Oh, actually, they don't draw
Yeah.
the extra card, but still, like
I
if you
don't
see the
really like
ambitions,
that.
yeah, it's not as good as I wanted it to be. Unfortunately, but it's a card that I think is worth noting because it does have evasive. So if we're ever like in a heavy evasive format, I think this is worth noting. We also have this Archimedes. It's a 3/2/2 that quest for 2. That's an evasive. It's like a more Minnie Mouse targets is what it feels like. So that's good. What else do we have here? Oh, this Madame M. Elephant. What do you guys think of this card? When you play this character, banish her or return to the hand. And then at the start of your turn, you may move up to 2 damage counters from this character to chosen opposing character.
I think the bounce alone it makes it worth playing, but it's not a card that you're gonna want to play into every matchup. This obviously feels really bad if you play it into Ruby, or maybe even Emerald, for example, just because there's Bruno being a removal card. Um, they don't necessarily have. Well, they have more cards now that have like effects where if you have damage counters, they get to do stuff too. They banish chosen characters with damage counters, so Emerald won't necessarily be. This won't be the best card to play into those matchups. But I just like more bouncing. That's also very, very strong for the Amethyst deck. This is also a nuisance too when you start challenging other characters and forcing them to respond to it or get another character to get damaged. You could see Amethyst Steel take full advantage of that. So I like this card for sure.
When I saw this card at the beginning, of course, my first thought was like, "Oh, it's a Medusa target, right?" But the thing is, the new cards, all new cards, right now, Ruby decks just seems like a bit underpowered or like out tempoed most of the time. And we will see, of course, but let's say Ruby is just not that great in the meta. I can definitely see this card because, as Zach said, the trading with this card is really efficient because it's 3/7, right? And then you just not only move basically destroy something small with that, you're also healing yourself, right? Because you move like 2 damage counters. So the trade potential for this card is really insane, and I don't think people really wanna like use so many resources to get rid of her, or even they can. I don't even know if they can. Like if you play her quite early, so she has like huge potential in any Amethyst deck, and also of course Amethyst Steel because we know what's coming.
Oh yeah, yeah, we know.
Basically a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah. Some more cards. We have a new shift Ana coming out. When you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Quest for 2, shift 4. If there's some better Ana targets, then this card will definitely be worth playing. But as of right now, I'm not too convinced on that one. Elsa, this is a 5 cost inkable, 2 strength, 5 willpower. This card has rush and evasive. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing character. There's no way this card's bad. But I think this is more of like a meta tech card. Like you play this depending on what the meta is looking like, right? Same thing with this Archimedes. This is a shiftable Archimedes, shift 3, 1 strength, 4 willpower, quest for 2, has evasive and challenger plus 3. I think this is a very good out to the Minnie Mouse we were just talking about earlier. I mean the Minnie Mouse, the Daisy Duck. Sorry, not the Minnie Mouse, the Daisy Ducks. I'm tripping. This is a very good out to the Daisy Duck that we were just talking about earlier because you can shift it after they play Daisy Duck and you can clear it in one turn if they quest with it. But I think this card might see some play. Do you guys think any of these cards will see play?
Well,
I wish the Elsa would be cheaper. Like,
Yeah.
With Elsa cheaper. I think I just actually had a thought, and you know, not to say, but think about the Ruby. Ruby has the uninkable 3-drop Sisu that could kill Daisy Duck. And this also has a 1 strength. So I the more I think about it, the more Ruby Amethyst becomes like a reactive deck again. I don't think it becomes like this aggro deck with a little bit of control. I think it becomes more of like the control reactive deck. I think it's going to start to lean more that way. And there's lots of answers too that we're probably not even thinking about to that Daisy Duck, but yeah, I forgot that Sisu was a card for a quick second.
yeah, but the Sisu is kind of slow, to be honest, in that regard.
Being uninkable, it does make it kind of slow. But having an out to Daisy Duck like that is kind of nice too. Real quick, this Genie main attraction.
It depends on if you're on the play, right? If you're on the play, it's quite good, but yeah.
That's true. One of the legendaries from Amethyst is, I think, worth noting. Whenever you play, this is a Genie. This Genie, Spectacular Entertainer. Main attraction. Sorry. His ability is Spectacular Entertainer. Whenever this character is exerted, your opponents cannot ready their characters at the start of their turn. Kind of cheesy, kind of good though. It's a 5 strength, 5 willpower, so it's kind of hard to just eliminate from the board. But it does lose out to World's Greatest Criminal Mind. But that effect to just stop your opponent's characters from readying back at the indefinitely is kind of wild. I feel like that's something to definitely make note of. So we got Monstro, Maleficent, nothing too crazy in the rest of the Amethyst packages. The Ana is unfortunately uninkable that we're getting as a good shift target. Let's see. Let's skip down to the card that we know is going to ruin the game. Oh, this is one actually that's going to make the game very interesting. Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom. This is just a 2-cost uninkable action, and it just says gain 2 lore. I think this card is great. This is going to be very good in hyper aggro decks. So obviously, if you go like Daisy, then you start playing, Gathering Knowledge, you're just going to gain 2 free lore over and over again. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Amethyst, Emerald, and Iago, and do it again. That's all I'll say.
Okay, good good combos. We got Amethyst Chromacon. This card's good in hyper aggro decks, I think. This card's crazy. It's a 2-cost inkable item that says exert, each player may draw a card. No cost. You just play the item 1 time for 2, and then for the rest of the game, whenever you tap it, both of you draw a card. That is insane in aggro decks.
Like how what do they think? Like just look at the card next to it. Like it also draws card. Of course, your opponent doesn't draw one, but what is the comparison? Like 6 uninkable, cost 2 to draw 2, and the other one says, yeah, okay, your opponent's drawing 1, but who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Literally. And you can play it and draw that same turn you just played it.
Yeah, dude. And like if I'm at 15 lore by turn 3, you can have 20 cards in your hand. I do not care, bro. That is insane. Like this, yeah, it's a very nice card.
Aggro doesn't really care if your opponent is drawing 2. That's why Daisy is good, right? Like you don't really care.
Oh, wait a second.
Okay, just making sure. But yeah, oh yeah, Jafar. What about Jafar? Oh yeah, Jafar wheel. You have a way to just draw cards off of and
Mm.
gain lore for the Jafar wheel deck. That's cool. Speaking of draw cards, we have a new location coming out that I think is good too. The library, a gift for Bell. It's a 3-cost location, inkable, one move cost with 8 willpower. That says whenever a character is banished here, you may draw a card. So if you move your Chernobog's followers here, you quest, you banish, you draw. You can draw an extra card for this library, and you're gaining 1 lore every turn. I don't know, man. Zach, I think Amethyst got some pretty good cards this set as well. Just wanted to point that out, though. What about Emerald? Any good Emerald cards that are gonna stand out to us?
I want to talk about Clarabelle. That card, it basically reads that it's at the end of your turn, you choose an opponent, and you basically draw until you have the same amount of their hand size. It's a 7-cost inkable 5/6 with shift 5. I think this card's amazing, personally. Um, it's probably like going to create more of like the you can build like the OTK decks better now with cards like Clarabelle, because don't forget about the Bayou OTK with the Beast. And there's just a lot of tools that Emerald has now. They have card draw, they have like they have removal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This card's crazy. The fact that it's an inkable card makes it like you can play 4. You can just play 4 in the deck. And it's an inkable card that draws you cards. We've seen how impactful Beast Tragic Hero is in the meta. I don't think this is gonna be like anywhere shy of that potential as well. They even gave us a 1-drop Clarabelle right here. It's a 1 strength, 2 willpower. So we have a little
What
shift
kind do
target
you?
right there. It's gonna say when you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to banish chosen item. This card's great.
Oh,
This card's really good. It's just very
the
it's a very
card's really
yeah.
good.
It's
Like,
yeah. It's a very it's a very convenient card. Like you can play it on turn 1, or you can play it on turn 3. Banish. It's inkable. It's inkable, bro. You can just get rid of it against decks that don't play items, or if you need to shift into this Clarabelle by turn 4 or 5, you can just set that up. That's kind of nice. Very,
yeah.
very, very powerful cards we're getting. We have a new Ana legendary. It's a 3-cost uninkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower. Quest for 2 with 3 different abilities. When you play this character, you can pay 2 extra ink to gain one of these abilities. Each opponent chooses and discards a card. Chosen character gets +2 strength this turn, or banish chosen damaged character. Cool concept. Very diverse. Don't know how much meta play it's going to see because it is uninkable, and you essentially need 5 ink to get the
Like
most value out of it.
the problem about this kind of card is literally a 5 cost, and
Yeah.
the effects for a 5 cost 2/3 2 low body is so bad. Uninkable. Like if this would be inkable, it would be much better. They should do if they do stuff like that. They should do it like just a trigger, not a trigger, but just effect that you can use in the main phase, right? Not like on play, because if it's on play, it's literally a 5-drop, and for a 5-drop, it's so
Yeah.
bad.
I think the concept is that you're supposed to be able to use cards like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo if you have this on board already, so then you don't have to pay that extra 3 ink. You just sing
Yeah.
it and replay it, but it's not worth it. Like just to re-sing it, to play to do one of the extra abilities again doesn't seem very worth it. More Robin Hood support like we were talking about. I like these Mother Gothel cards. Oh, and there's another Clarabelle card. Wow, you could just play Clarabelle deck next format. So okay, Clarabelle,
Oh.
3 strength, 2 strength, 3 willpower, 3-cost inkable. When you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you may draw a card. Okay, we're playing Clarabelle control next format. This card's insane. What the heck? This card's really good. Just all the Clarabelle cards just net you advantage, dude. That's so nice. And then the Mother Gothel cards I think are pretty good too. Mother Gothel, we have the Conceited Manipulator, 2-cost inkable, 1 strength, 3 willpower. When you play this character, you may pay 3 ink to return chosen character to their player's hand. I think this is very powerful. You can play it on turn 2 if you want to for the shift Mother Gothel, or you can play it on turn 5 and just bounce any character. And that's what Genie did, on the job Genie in set 1, but he was uninkable. He was a 6-cost. Yeah, he had evasive, but you were mainly playing him for that tempo swing. And now you can do this with Mother Gothel, with a 2-cost Mother Gothel. That's wonderful. I think that's awesome. Bounce any character is just very convenient. And then we have the Shift Mother Gothel, 6-cost inkable, 4 strength, 6 willpower, shift 4, quest for 2. When you play this character, each opponent chooses one of their characters and returns that card to their hand. What do you guys think of these combos?
I'm not too excited. That Mother Gothel is basically a and Mother Knows Best. Like it's on legs, but you still pay the cost for the Mother Knows Best, really.
Mhm.
So it's basically just having that body, like you said, for the shift ability is good. But its stat lines aren't the worst. It is a 1/3, so it survives things like grab your sword and fire cannons, of course. The shift Mother Gothel, though, I think that card is very good. Personally, it is like the Tremaine effect,
Mm-hmm.
so that doesn't allow opponents to get away with the excuse me the warded ability. And I don't know about the hyena. I don't know how I feel about hyenas.
For me, the gauntlets, the bounce effect, it always felt weird for me. Like it depends on how like what meta we shape up. Let's say in the beginning everything is more tempo heavy because people are trying out lists, and then there are people who tries to counter the people who are trying out right, and they just go, yeah, let's play aggro, let's play tempo, let's just play something that is so much faster than the homebrew combos that everybody's trying out right now. Let's say for Vegas or Birmingham, and then cards like these are just a bit too slow, in my opinion. Like they're inkable, so they're still okay or good in that regard. But if you're facing a deck that which have a game plan from like ink 1 to 4 or maybe 5 max, this is quite slow. Like Tremaine, for example, right now, even in this meta, Tremaine is really bad. If you don't, if the Sapphire decks are falling out, Tremaine gets so much worse. And the same applies here.
We are getting some more draw power in Emerald, though. This Scar, 4 strength, 2 willpower. Sorry, 4 strength, 2 willpower, 4 cost inkable, has ward and says whenever one of your characters challenges a damaged character, you may draw a card. That's always nice if you have, if you want more draw power in your deck. The Maui song, You're Welcome, shuffle
The
chosen
one
character.
above that,
This
that
one,
one's interesting.
hypnotic deduction.
This one's interesting
Okay.
because, of course, it's a bit weird that you have to put 2 cards back to the top so you know your draws. And not gonna lie, if you do that, it sometimes feels bad because you know what you draw. You put like bad cards back, of course, you know what you're drawing. But of course, in certain decks where you are searching for combo pieces like Emerald, Ember, for example, like you just wanna do your certain combo where you go like Prince John, and then How You Forgot Me and so on. Then I can see this card certainly. Like it just improves your consistency that you can see certain things. But of course, the cost too is still a bit steep if you are like on a tempo run. If you are like trying to do your stuff in the first 4 or 5 turns, then spending 2 is still sometimes a bit expensive to get more consistency.
Yeah,
but I can definitely see it too. Like let's say you already on like turn 6, like turn 5, 6, 7, and your opponent's still in the game, and this card can get you to the card that will finish your opponent off.
Yeah, I think this card, like, it's not going to be something that I think comes up a lot, but it's important to mention characters like the Bruno, the one that checks the top of the card of your deck.
Yeah.
And so it's a way to like get free cards that way too. But like you said, just finding that answer that you need, it lets you look at get 3 cards deeper into your deck. And I think you like to dig a little deeper too, so you can understand the importance of this card. I just want to also say that Night Howler Rage, they disrespected the Beast is Mine 100%. They disrespected it.
Yeah, this is just a power creep Beast is Mine because you draw a card. You get reckless during the turn. More draw power in Emerald too. You're welcome. Shuffle chosen character, item, or location into that player's deck. That player draws 2 cards. So you have convenient location removal to an extent in Emerald now. Prince John's Mirror. A lot of people have been saying this card's good. I think it's okay. It's an item, 3 cost inkable. If you have a character named Prince John in play, pay 1 less to play this item. So potentially 2 cost item. And at the end of each opponent's turn, if they have more than 3 cards in their hand, they discard until they have 3 cards in their hand. Actually, this card's kind of nuts, right? In the early game, or if they're playing against Amethyst, they have to just constantly discard to keep the game, to keep the hand balanced. And then on your turn, oh yeah, it's at the end of their turn. Wow, that's insane. And at the end of their turn, then you get on your turn, you just get to discard the rest of their hand. Well, that's not very fair. So this card has some high potential. What do you guys think?
So the Prince John, like for me, Prince John is such a combo deck. Like, every time you play a Prince John, the deck just turns into a combo deck. And when you do that, you want your combo to have like just an insane impact. And I think this card helps in that aspect. Like you can definitely build a Prince John combo discard pile. Also, you can maybe build a deck where your opponent you keep let your opponent draw. You can play like Donald Duck also, right? You let your opponent draw, so in that regard, it's fine if they get some card advantage back, because you will discard it regardless, right? Either through this one or other discard cards. So I quite like it, to be honest. And it depends on what deck I will play, but it can be also scary if you play a deck that tries to keep a big hand size and then your opponent's dropping this.
Yeah, I'm different about this card only because, like, in a very fast format, this card will not see play at all. But in a
Yeah.
slower format with decks that are just trying to more control the game, this card will be a problem. I like that they added that you can play it for one less when you have a Prince John in play. But until they make a 1-drop Prince John, that's not going to come up.
Literally, it's kind of just a random ability to be able to do it later on in the game. This other item, Emerald Chromacon, is nice. During your opponent's turns, whenever one of your characters is banished, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So I think that's cool. It just makes all your cards floaters on your opponent's turn. And if you're playing an aggro style deck, then they're gonna have to challenge them. So that's worth noting for sure. Some cool Ruby cards that are pretty cool. Turbo, real quick. This is a rush character, 2 strength, 3 willpower with 2 cost uninkable, and he counts as a shift target for King Candy. So if you want to play a Ruby Sapphire deck, DK, maybe consider playing Turbo. So yeah, so you have a good rush character.
Why did they make it undiggable, man? I know they don't want to like power creep Queen, I guess, but still, like, wow.
Yeah, they don't want to power creep the Queen, but it's
I wanted 2-3 rush. Like, I wanted so much.
This is the one, man. There you go. This is your 2-3 rush. You just got to take out some cards, bro. You got to take out some cards. Other than that, I feel like Ruby got like the short end of the stick this set. I don't really see too many crazy Ruby cards that are worth noting. I feel like the Sugar Rush characters have some potential because some of them gain abilities when they move to locations, like give you more lore, make you lose lore. I just don't think we're in that state of Lorcana yet where like life steal, like taking away lore from the opponent, is that crucial just yet. A lot of people are on this Robin Hood card, though. I'll be honest with you. I'll be the first to say it. I don't think this card is all that good. It's a little too cheesy. It's uninkable. It's just I don't like cards that say that kind of puts you on this RNG kind of thing. I do like looking at the top 4 cards of your deck. That makes it more likely you will hit an action. But I've missed off Ariel so many times where I don't even play Ariel in most decks anymore. So I don't think I'd ever play this Robin Hood. What do you guys think?
The effect on quest is you need always a good body to abuse that, but 1/4 is so weird. Like, it's just weird. I don't know why they gave it 1/4.
Yeah, it's a really weird body. Like, it's the reason why I don't touch that legendary Sisu and Sapphire. I think it's a great card, but it's a 2/4 body on turn 4. It just loses to Fox, loses to Brawl, loses to everything. I like cards that give you the ability when you quest, because you get like a double whammy. You're getting the lore and you're getting the extra ability. But to set this up in the way the meta looks right now, especially when you're playing against like the potential hyper aggro Daisy decks or like all these other cards we've been looking at, like, do I really want to take a risk and quest for 2 and then hope to see a removal card for that Daisy? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't I rather just like have removal immediately in my hand? The card's very slow. It's just not my favorite, not my favorite card. This Gaston card in Ruby, and does this card pique anybody's interest? It says, for every damaged character you have in play, you pay 2 less to play this character. He has a rush. It's a 10 strength character, 6 willpower, and quest for 2. Normally costs 9, but could potentially cost 7, 5, even 3, depending on how many damaged characters you have on board. Imagine playing Mulan into Mother Gothel, into Beast, into this card. That'd be crazy.
I don't really like it.
You don't like it? Okay. Being uninkable, I can see that, but I don't know. Something about this seems kind of broken, right? To me, at least.
I don't know what the like reducing the cost of certain characters is cool, but like we just haven't seen any of those kind of cards see like major competitive play. Like, they're not in like a bunch of consistent decks, like the Chernobog, for example. and they printed a couple cards like this in this set too. So it's not it's not something that I'm gonna just write off right away. I think that there's room for a card like this. It single handedly handles locations in one swing. Um, it's just one of those cards that um, when it's good, but when it's bad, it's uninkable. You know?
Yeah, so the thing about cards that need setup in this game is every time they're uninkable, they are really bad. Like if this card would be inkable, be decent. Like you can, if you don't have the setup for the damaged characters, you just ink it. But right now, if you play cards like this or like other cards even, where you just need a certain setup because you really need a specific setup, not a generic setup. I don't like it when they are not inkable, just because you can't do much. And also, if you just think about the cards, the damage themselves, they're all bad. They're almost all bad. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
why would I play vanillas like Mulan and so on? You know, it feels weird.
I guess like a Ruby Amber deck, if you're already playing those cards, like I would try it out, like because I think people are already playing Mufasa and Ruby Amber. So I
Yeah,
mean,
but
sorry, not
then
Mufasa.
you're
I mean
also
Chernobog, but you up? Go ahead.
yeah, but let's say, aren't you playing Rapunzel too in that Ruby Emma deck?
Yeah, you're playing Rapunzel too. So yeah, but think of it. If you
Then
go,
you are healing your characters, and then you have
and then
you
it's
know
almost
it
even
conflicts.
kind of kind of contradictory. But think of it this way: you go Mulan turn 1, Mother Gothel turn 2, Beast turn 3. They all have damage on them. I think total it's 6 damage. So this Gaston will cost you like 1 or 2 ink, and then you can play your Rapunzel for free anyway on turn 4.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying though. It's definitely conflicting with the main strategy for that. This Vanellope Von Schweich is really cool, but it's uninkable, so I don't want to play it. It's a rush character, 3 strength, 3 willpower, has evasive until the start of your next turn when you play this character. So pretty cool. Lets you out stuff and protect itself. The break free is an interesting action. So 1-cost action, deal 1 damage to chosen character of yours. They gain rush and a +1 strength this turn. I think there's some potential there in Ruby Sapphire. You know, you want to give yourself some extra boosts to rush some characters. And I think that's pretty much it for Ruby cards, right? Oh, this card, the Sword Released, 3-cost uninkable item at the start of your turn. If you have a character in play with more strength than each opposing character, each opponent loses 1 lore, and you gain lore equal to that lore lost. I think this card needs to be like studied or something. Like maybe played in that item deck, you know, the Ruby Sapphire item deck. The ability to control the game state like that, like you lose lore, I gain lore, like slow your roll. That's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, like people sometimes underestimate that one law, and I know, like from all my matches, so many times I wouldn't buy like my opponent has 19 law and I barely won, and so I know like one law can decide like so much. So like
Imagine getting
it
this
might
off
be playable in
yeah. Imagine getting
big
this
deck.
off Tamatoa, like in the later game when they're like at 18 lore, and you just like, I'll play the Sword Released, and all of a sudden they keep losing a lore every single turn.
Yeah, because sometimes they're like just hoping to draw that last gold or whatever, and then you can just chill with this one. The only thing is again uninkable. Why?
Yeah,
Why?
it's a good card. If it was inkable, they'd be like mandatory cards to play because this just checks stuff like goats. Yeah. Yeah, I won't be able to set up a goat play with that. So, some Sapphire cards we'd like to go over. We have a King Candy Goons, 1 strength, 1 cost, 2 strength, 2 willpower. That's kind of nice. The Scrooge McDuck I was talking about to you guys earlier. I think this card's pretty good in aggro decks. 4 cost, uninkable, 5 strength, 5 willpower though,
Yeah,
and
that's
quest for 2.
you guys remember when I said like I want the Yeti from Hearthstone in this game, and now we suddenly got like 2.
Yeah, yep, there you go. We got Yetis now. Yes, this card's
That's
good.
just insane.
I think the biggest thing though is that you can just if I play this and you respond with the world's greatest criminal mind, I'm gonna cry. Like I'm just gonna be like, oh, that was my whole strategy. And people people definitely play world's greatest.
Better have it.
But you better have it. Yeah, put them on better have it. This card is my favorite card from the set. Chicha. It's a 2-cost unequal character, 2 strength, 1 willpower. She has support, and she says during your turn, when you put a card into your inkwell, if it's the second card you put into your inkwell this turn, you may draw a card. Emphasis on the word second, because I've done things where I'll like ink off Fishbone, I'll play Mickey, and then I play Chicha, and then I ink, and you don't draw, because that's the 3rd time you inked. It literally has to be the 2nd time you ink.
Mm.
Yeah, but card's insane. I think this card makes it so that you can play Sapphire in any color now, because you could just play this with a combination of Mickeys and one jumps, and that's already, I think, a big enough package. But like other Sapphire, you can still also play Fishbone, and this just replaces the Fishbone card every time. It's crazy. This card's really good.
Yeah, I like it. Again, unthinkable, but you can like cards like this. You can definitely try to fit in because she's just giving you such a huge boost in consistency, and also inking with like cards that don't replace themselves is also like kind of minus. It's not minus, but let's say you ink twice, so you are losing 2 hand cards, and if you have this one, it just replaces the hand card. First, she needs to replace herself, right? But then after that, probably she sticks normally, and then you draw and keep drawing, and
Yeah.
that's quite good.
In the early game, I feel like she definitely sticks. And then being a low cost uninkable, I think is a lot different than being like even a 3 or 4 cost uninkable. And she can sing one jump, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't know. This card's crazy. This card is gonna revolutionize Sapphire. What, Zach? Do you agree?
Probably will do a lot. I think it's very good that they're getting some draw power too, because like cards like Fishbone, right? You take a card out of your hand, now you can draw a card from it, which is very strong. But jamming a bunch of like Mickeys and one jumps and this just so Dinkin's been saying it forever, man. Why so many uninkables?
Hey man, I'm down. Like I'm down to brick. I am down to brick potentially to play some of these crazy cards. We have the new Cusco Inkable, 6 cost, 3 strength, 5 willpower. Selfish Emperor. When you play this character, you may put a chosen item or location into its player's inkwell face down and exerted. Very good. Now you have some instant location removal in Sapphire, and then you have this extra random ability for no reason that says pay for ink. Your other characters gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn. They just power crept 4 dozen eggs. They gave this card a 4 dozen eggs, kind of. They think 4 dozen's two resist, but still, it's still a crazy card, right?
Yeah. Fun fact: the second effect's not even once per turn. So,
oh
if you
wow!
have a turn. When you have a turn where you don't do much, like you can just activate it multiple times if you want.
That's actually nuts. I love that. So if you're on turn 8 and he's already on board, you're just like, I'll pay 8 ink. Everyone has resist +2. That is funny. That is funny.
Yeah, the card's insane. Like, finally we got something. Of course, we also got the action that does the same for super cheap. But
Yes.
if everybody plays the Steel Pete, which we will see in a sec, yeah, this card's still like. You need it against Amethyst Steel, right? When they go Pete and Castle, you need the Cusco or the Simba that we will also see, I guess.
Yeah, you need some outs, which we did get in this set. Mufasa, the 8 cost uninkable, 4 strength, 9 willpower, quests for 4. When you play this character, exert all cards in your inkwell, then return 2 cards at random from your inkwell to your hand. Then, whenever this character quests, ready all cards in your inkwell again. So this card is definitely going to change the meta. If you don't remove this card from the board, your opponent essentially gets 2 turns to use all the cards in their hand if they want to. And then on top of that, like if your opponent has 15 ink and they play this card, you're gonna have to roll 2 dice to decide the random cards from their inkwell. Like it's this card's insane, dude. Are you gonna be playing this in Ruby Sapphire, Ding Kong?
Yeah, like if I still play that deck, I would probably at least play 1, or I would try to fit at least 1, maybe 2. Again, Unlinkable is really, really bad because just again, if you are playing Ruby Sapphire, you have so many Unlinkables already that you kind of have to play. And the Mufasa is good, but again, Unlinkable is weird. But yeah, I can imagine myself to play like a super fast deck, because playing Tamator on turn 5 is not as good as people think. Because if you don't have the popsicle, because you maybe didn't draw it, it's not good at all to drop Tamator down. It's just a big body, and if you drop Mufasa down, damn, you will like, yeah, you will if they don't get rid of him, which most deck probably can't. Looks kind of bad for them.
Yeah, its stats are very good. It's one of these cards that obviously if it goes off, it's devastating. And I'd hate to find out that there's like a Sapphire deck that basically becomes the best deck because of this card, because then they're going to have to errata it. They're going to have to change it and do something about it because Yeah, being able to play cards like Friend Like Me and anything else
Oh
that
yeah.
gives you exerted ink and then quest and ready all that ink is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Amber Sapphire. You go Naveen into Friend Like Me, and then you got Mufasa. It's crazy, crazy. We have the King Candy Shift character. Shift 3, 5 uninkable, 3 strength willpower. When you play this character, you may draw 2 cards and put a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. So that's some nice cycle if you need some cards like that for your Sapphire deck. And then of
Donald
course
Duck. Donald Duck.
this Donald Duck. You like this Donald Duck? 5 strength.
Bro,
Sorry, 5 cost,
damn,
3 strength, 4 willpower.
5 cost. 5 cost is I don't know, but in terms of in a ramp deck, on
Okay.
5 ink, you are not doing much. You are literally doing like another Tala, or like sometimes I do like one item high ramp because I went Tala first. But if you most time you don't have that, so you just play whatever. And this fits in the curve so well because
Mm,
uh you normally what you do is like turn 4 you play something and then you sing how far and then you can play whatever, and now you can also play Donald Duck on top, and that's what I meant with the Mufasa curve and so on. Now suddenly you're at 8 next turn, so in turn 6 it is, no, turn 5 you're at like 8 ink, just
mm.
because of Donald Duck, and it just fits in the deck, and also it is inkable.
Inkable.
Ah, this
Inkable.
is inkable. Just because it is inkable makes it so much better.
Yeah,
Of course, it's always risky to ramp off the top of the deck, but in that case, it's so much tempo. The body is also decent, 3, 4, and 2 quests, 2 laws. So it's like
that's really good.
decent card.
I like
I would try it. I would definitely try it.
Yeah, I like the way you explained that because I had my friend tell me this card's probably good in like the Sapphire Mufasa deck that I was playing, and he was just saying for the same reason you said, like you go the curve, like you Mickey, and then if you Mickey into this, that's an amazing curve, or if you go one jump
Yeah.
into the 4, then turn 5 you have another curve. So, yeah, he was just telling me that it's a very good card for the reasoning of the curve and the way you gain the ink naturally. So that's worth looking into, especially with that Chicha card. Now you have another card to get you an extra ink that turn. This bell's kind of cool. Ward. When you play this character, your other characters gain a ward until the start of your turn. Some potential there for some aggro decks. And then the card that I really want to break in the game, it's a 6 cost uninkable Merlin card. 3 strength, 7 willpower, shift 5. When you play this character, if you use shift, you may search your deck for any card. Put that card to your hand and then shuffle the deck. There's no way this card is bad, guys. This card has to be good. Has to be good. I can't think of any combos yet. I'm pretty sure Blurple is going to be the way to play it because you have
Yeah.
so many Merlin Rabbit
You need to
targets.
play Blood Pool. Like, there's no other way, right? But we will see. We will see. If this card pops off, it would be fine for me. Like, I like it. I just like the
Yeah.
because it has downsides. The downsides of this card are huge.
Mhm.
Uninkable. 3/7 body is weird
Mm.
against Medusa, but that's fine if Ruby is not that great. And it's on shift, so any
Yeah.
card that is on shift has a downside by itself, which makes it kind of fair. It's not really fair because it's like either you brick on it or you pop off with that. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
weird.
It's a very fair card. Very fair card. But adding Lucky Dime to your hand directly seems a little unfair, right? And then last for Sapphire, Hideaway. This is the card you were talking about earlier. 2 strength, inkable card. Put a chosen item or location into the player's inkwell, face down and exerted. So it's like that Cusco ability, but just as an action. So multiple ways now in Sapphire to remove pesky locations depending on the kind of Sapphire deck you're playing, or even items, right? Because if you're just playing a mirror match.
We also have the new develop your brain, which is interesting. The
This one,
on the top,
Visions
the
of the
vision,
Future.
the vision.
Visions of the Future. Yeah, yeah. It's like double
Yeah,
develop. You play it on turn 2 instead.
yeah. But the problem about that is looking at the top 4. Like if you are playing a dime deck or like a Tamatora whatever deck, the problem if you play such a card is if you play this early is if you hit multiple good cards, you are losing it. Of course, you still have more in the deck, but in such a game as Lorcana, if your other the cards are on the bottom and you don't have the ability to shuffle because you don't play any cards that shuffle your deck, you're losing every single card that you put to the bottom. So you have to be careful about that. So for me right now, such a card would be not 4 off right now. Depends on how you build your deck. If you build your deck like it's a mid-range deck or like you have many ways to win, then it's fine. But if you have to concentrate on Tamato and Dime, such a card, at least in the early game, is really risky.
Right, right. Makes sense, dude. Some other cool cards from Steel. that I want to go over. Honestly, did Steel even get that crazy cards? The legendary is not that good. The Steel legendary.
Bro, what are you talking about?
Oh,
What?
okay, you're right,
They got
you're
the
right.
greatest
Okay,
card.
they got supposedly the greatest card, but aside from
Or the
Pete's,
Mickey
like
Mouse.
this Mickey Mouse, the
Mickey
resist
Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, you think so? The one cost, 1/2, resist +1.
Right.
It's
I
essentially an
know.
Olaf.
Was there another Mickey Mouse, right?
Oh,
Wasn't there another Mickey Mouse?
people like this Hay.
We'll
This Hay's people like. It's a 5 cost 4/5 with a bodyguard and quest for
No.
2. I think that's potential in some aggro decks. That's kind of nice. I haven't looked too much into these dwarf knights. They don't look like they're anything too appealing. I need to go over this Simba because we finally got a shift Simba. Finally, we got a shift Simba. I've been begging for one. And this is a great card. 6 cost inkable character. 3 strength, 5 willpower that says when you play this character, you may banish chosen item or location. Yes, this is a very balanced card, very good card. It makes obviously like locations and items way easier to deal with in Steel. You don't have to play stuff like Rise of the Titans when you can play a card that has a body. I like it a lot, and it's not just on shift, so you can play this on turn 6, play this on turn 4. Sapphire Steel, I think, is gonna have a good time playing this in the mirror match now, right? So that's kind of cool. Here it is, the card that everybody's talking about, the card that is gonna define and break the meta. We have Pete, Games Referee, 3 cost, inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower, very balanced by the way. When you play this character, opponents can't play actions until the start of your next turn. Why is everybody making a big deal about this card, man? This card can't be that good, right?
Oh, well, that card is just a portion of the problem. If cards like Madam Mim, snakes, foxes, elephants didn't exist, this card would just be kind of like you'd have to time it well. And my my honest opinion is that this card will we'll kind of see other decks build around it too. It's going to be a very, very solid card in any like aggro strategy. Because like I said, Amber Steel, you can just play like Daisy Duck, Mr. Smee, Pete, and now they can't brawl the Daisy. So it's going to become a problem. Playing this on like turn 5 or anytime past that makes Amethyst Steel like you're locked out of actions and songs for the rest of the game if they have the right combination of cards. And me personally, I'm I'm just going to play this card. I'm going to build a deck and play this card. There's no way I don't. Like I said, Amber Steel was a deck that I have some experience with. I'm going to try it out. And if not, I'm going to build another Pete deck because that card just, oh man, that card's disgusting. Thank God they didn't give it to Lord.
First, why is it inkable? Like, out of all cards, why is this one inkable? Like, huh? And then 3 strength, 3 willpower is also like what? Like, it is such a solid, like, it is the good stat for 3 cost, right? It's the optimal stat, right? It's like literally the optimal stat for this. And I'm like, huh? One thing I have to say is when, of course, if you play an Amethyst Steel, it depends now on how aggressive you can play. Well, against many decks, like the bad thing about Pete is, of course, it would change deck building, and I don't like if a card like changes deck building a lot. Like, of course, cards like Daisy also demands you to play some outs, but still fine. But this card here might force, like, let's say my deck, like Ruby, Sapphire, to go more on a character approach, like play a bit less actions or something like that. Maybe even make people like not end playing so many song decks. That's already bad enough. Like, that's not good card design in my opinion. This is almost what you call in Yu-Gi-Oh! Floodgates, although that in Yu-Gi-Oh! The cards are like continuous, so they keep applying for each turn, but this card applies for one turn, but the bouncers makes it to basically apply each turn. One thing to note here, although, is if you bounce Pete, you need like at least 5 ink to play him again, right? Like for the snake. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Like, you can put him back into your hand, but if you don't play him immediately out again, it's kind of bad. Also, if you bounce him, you cannot bounce rabbits. What you also do a lot. If your early game wasn't successful in Amethyst Steel, what you normally do is like you will start bouncing your rabbits to refill. But if you start bouncing Peats and you still have to keep inking, right? Your hand will deplete really fast. And if your opponent, like, let's say they don't have so many actions in hand or they don't really care, they just keep playing other characters, you can end up behind. Like, you don't need to rely on actions that much. And we talked already about many decks that we are playing, right? And many of those decks don't even rely on action that much. So I can see a world where Pete, at least bouncing Pete back to back, is not even that great or like scary. But I can definitely see a world where when you time it perfectly, it can ruin your day.
No, I 100% agree. Like, I don't think Pete is going to be the end all be all of the format. And maybe I'm being too optimistic. And I'm always optimistic when I see these cards. Because I remember when the Jafar Floodborn came out, everyone was saying that the game was dead and the game was broken and that Jafar Wheel was the best deck because you gained 7. Yeah, but yeah, DK, you weren't playing then. But when that card when that card got announced, everybody was like, "I'm quitting Lorcana. This card sucks. This card's gonna make me quit Lorcana."
Oh, really?
That Jafar, that cheesy Jafar card, which is a good card, but it's just not. It's not. It's not game ending. And honestly, I think Pete is good. I think it's worth respecting. But like you said, if you're bouncing this card, you're not bouncing rabbits. And I think the rabbit is the best card in Lorcana. So if you're not bouncing rabbit, then something's wrong with your strategy, right? Same thing. You just said it yourself. We're gonna pivot to playing character removal. You know what I mean? There's cards like Pinocchio, Sisu, Medusa. There's just so many cards that remove characters. There's no Sisu's the character board wipe, right? But there's so many cards that remove characters now. That are characters, not necessarily actions and songs. That this card, it can be good, but it can fall through. Like, it can fall flat. I think the correct way we're gonna see this card be played is how Zach first described it. You gotta time it right. Maybe even in something like Emerald Steel, you time it right, and then you use cards like Bibbidi Bobbidi to replay it that way and time it again. Because in Emerald Steel, for example, you would lose to beat prep, so you hold this for turn 6, play it on turn 6, turn 7, they can't beat prep. Next turn, you Bibbidi Bobbidi, you do it again. Stuff like that. But I don't think this is really gonna be like the end all be all of the format, and Amethyst Steel is the best deck
for sure.
Yeah, annoying for sure.
Just annoying for sure.
Yeah, annoying for sure. You gotta respect it. You gotta. Well, one of the cool things though is you can sing friends on the other side with this card and bounce it back with snakes. So that is a little ridiculous. But yeah, I think other than that, I don't think there's any other steel cards really worth going over, right? In my opinion, at least. But do you guys have a favorite enchanted so far from the ones we got revealed?
I like the Donald Duck because I like Donald.
Okay, cool. I'm partial to the Archimedes enchanted. This one's hard. I like this one.
Oh yeah, this goes hard. Yeah.
Prince Naveen looks like he's about to play my favorite Jack Johnson song right now. So.
Yeah, I love that. That's been our short review of the cards from set 5, Shimmering Skies, which is gonna hit stores on August 9th. My goons. Thank you, DK, for going over these cards with us, for being part of the Quest with a Guest podcast. I really do appreciate it, bro. Do you have any final thoughts on the new set before we call it a day?
Man, I'm really excited because I never really played like right at the start of the set, right? So I missed all the cooking process, and I'm really excited for this set, and also because it seems like every color got a push. I mean, not every color, like Ruby fell off a bit, but Ruby was already strong. So every weak color, like Ember, got like a huge push, and now we can just cook a lot of decks. And I even think that we will go like probably into like a 7 deck format, maybe even more, because there are so many decks that has potential right now. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I want to see 7 different decks in the top cuts. The color combinations. The more the merrier. I like the diversity. I like the variance. I think you benefit a lot from knowing the card pool in this game, so it helps a lot. Zach, any final thoughts on Shimmering Skies coming on next week?
Man, I love new formats. I love new sets. I love when things are kind of like, the restart buttons hit. And Lorcana's been this game where, like, doesn't have a full reset because we haven't had a ban list yet. We are going into a Bucky errata, so this will be a new set without the presence of Emerald Steel discard. I would say it's going to shift into a different version, at least without the Bucky. But it is like a big reset because a lot of people want to try different things. Then everyone wants to punish those new ideas with the aggro decks, and you try to answer the aggro decks by decking your deck around it. So I'm already trying to get one step ahead. I'm already trying to think past the homebrew. Like homebrew with how are we answering Daisy Duck is already where I started my thoughts, right? And just
Yep.
kind of going from there. I want to try a bunch of new things, but I am just more of a competitive player, and the trends and the way people like to compete and strategize, I think plays a bigger role into my deck building process. So it's just have fun, play the game because that's what they want. And but at the end of the day, we here at Lorcana Goons are just trying to provide awesome content for all people in casual and competitive play. So stay tuned to Lorcana Goons.
Heck yeah, my goons. I appreciate that. I appreciate DK for joining us. Be sure to follow his Twitter. He's been posting so much about Lorcana. Follow his YouTube channel where he does TCG content. And are you still going to make a separate YouTube channel for Lorcana, or are you just going to be using your current one?
I have to check first. I will do some videos on my main channel and see how the response is.
For sure, man. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and tag you in the title, link in the description below. Again, check his Twitter because my man's is constantly posting the Ruby Sapphire updates as well for all the people to see. And he's been really popping on Twitter, bro. The DK has more activity than Lorcana Goons on Twitter. He's more famous on
I mean,
there
my Twitter was big before, right?
Yeah,
So-
no, yeah. But yeah, man, go follow him. And thank you guys. I appreciate you for watching this episode of Quest with a Guest. Good luck acquiring Shimmering Skies. Like we've been saying, some of these cards are good. So we are hyped on certain cards, but that's not to rule out any other cards like that are coming out in this set. I'm sure there are sleeper cards that we're not mentioning. So if you have some goo to cook up, make sure you provide it in the comments. Join our Discord. Join the Lorcana Goons community and start being a part of that. But yeah, until then, we'll see you goons next time.